Stacks with Zakka right now.
Laminates presents CNN News 18 Primetime Studio.
Good evening, you're watching Brass Tacks with me, Zakka Jacob. We're coming to you live from the CNN News 18 Primetime Studio presented by Green Lamb Laminates. A terrible tragedy has struck the Maha Kumbh in Prayagraj, where on the auspicious occasion of Mauni Amavasya, which is one of the holiest days in the 40-odd day period, there was a stampede which has led to the death of at least 30 people. That is the official death count, as has been articulated by a senior police official just about an hour ago. There are many more who are battling serious injury in hospital. The UP administration has done what it claims is everything it could to respond to this grave situation, but it highlights just what a nightmare it is to plan for such an ocean of humanity which is coming to the Kumbh. The UP administration estimates at least 40 crore people will be coming in the 40-day period, which is considered to be the most auspicious for the Kumbh. And just on this day when we've had 30 reported deaths, we also got the statistic that 25 crore people, 25 crore devotees have already taken the holy dip in the Ganga. What more could the state and the state authorities have done to restrict the number of casualties? And more importantly, the political opponents of the BJP, the Congress, the Samajwadi Party, they've all now found a stick to beat the Yogi government with. But the bigger question is, we've had stampedes every time the Maha Kumbh has happened, from 1954 all the way to the last edition that happened in 2013 and now unfortunately in 2025 as well. What may be the lessons that we can possibly learn? So first, before we get to the lessons that can be possibly learned, what exactly happened this morning? What was the sequence of events that led to this terrible tragedy? There were crowds of pilgrims who flocked to the Maha Kumbh. This was in the wee hours. They wanted to take a dip at the Triveni Sangam, which is the holy tri-junction where the three rivers, the Ganga, Yamuna and the Saraswati meet. The stampede occurred around 2 a.m. There was a sea full of tightly packed crowds who converged at the Sangam nose. That's the piece of land where the Yamuna and the Ganga meet. The crowd on the one side crossed over to the other side after the barricades broke. They started running over the devotees who were waiting for what is the Brahma Muhurta, which is the most auspicious time. That was due to begin a couple of hours later at about 4 o'clock in the morning. After the stampede broke out, police officials created a green corridor to try and transfer the injured devotees to a central makeshift hospital that they've made on the banks of the river Ganga in Prayagraj. A crowd diversion plan was also implemented at the Kumbh, and the entry of devotees right after the stampede happened at 2 in the morning was completely restricted. Multiple akhadas called off the Amrit Snan in view of the safety of all the devotees and returned to their camps. But by 11 a.m. or so, the situation was under control and thousands were back at the various ghats in Prayagraj to take the holy dip. This is certainly a wake-up call, no doubt, for the Yogi administration, for the Uttar Pradesh government, and certainly, of course, for crowd management skills and crowd management expertise, which in numerous occasions in the past has been found wanting in this country. But is it a time to politicize as well? We'll get to that in 1 second. But let's listen in to various political reactions that have been coming in, starting with the UP Chief Minister.
30 के आसपास लोगों की दुखद मृत्यु हुई है। 36 घायलों का प्रयागराज में उपचार चल रहा है। शेष घायलों को उनके परिवार के सदस्य लेकर के चले गए हैं। घटना दुखद है, मर्माहत करने वाला है। उन सभी परिजनों के प्रति हमारी पूरी संवेदना है, लेकिन दुर्भाग्य से इस दौरान ये मौतें हुई हैं। स्वाभाविक रूप से इन सब मुद्दों पर प्रश्न उठना स्वाभाविक भी है। प्रयागराज में आज 8 करोड़ से अधिक लोगों का, श्रद्धालुओं का दबाव था। सरकार ने भी तय किया है कि हम इसकी एक जुडिशियल इंक्वायरी भी करेंगे, क्योंकि कई बार रिव्यू होने के बाद स्थानीय स्तर पर हर प्रकार की सतर्कता के बाद आखिर कहां से ऐसे हादसे फिर भी होते हैं और हुए हैं।
So this year the Kumbh Mela could see an unprecedented number of crowds, up to 45 crore attendees, which is double the past figures, and that could make crowd management much more complex, much more difficult. This is a once in 144 years Maha Kumbh. That further draws global pilgrims as well, and that only intensifies further logistical demands. This gathering is witnessing a unique planetary positioning, making it even more significant for devotees. There's enhanced security, no doubt, and that is crucial to address potential threats and ensure a safety net is put around amid this massive gathering. More barricades means more overcrowding and impatience amongst the people, which leads to further troubles for the management of crowds. The relatively warm weather this time around in Prayagraj has comforted senior citizens to rush for this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. The Kumbh this year is making crowd management much more challenging because of the sheer number of people who are thronging the holy city. Now, both the centre and the state governments have been keeping a close watch on the developments on the ground. Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath has said that senior authorities, including the Chief Secretary and the Director General of Police, have reviewed the security arrangements. As many as 10 district magistrates were responsible for management of crowds and to prevent another stampede-like situation. The entry of devotees into Prayagraj has been temporarily halted until, of course, officials were sure that things were brought under control. Both entry and exit routes were separated by authorities to try and avoid overcrowding, in particularly the bottleneck areas around the ghats. More announcement booths were also set up by officials. Regular announcements were being made to keep the devotees aware. A war room, which enabled the Chief Minister and top officials in Lucknow to monitor the situation, was also activated on high priority. Prime Minister Narendra Modi condoled the deaths at the pre-dawn stampede that happened in Prayagraj. He assured that the local administration is helping those who've been affected and that the central government is keeping a close watch. He spoke to the UP Chief Minister as many as 4 times in the immediate aftermath of this tragedy.
कुंभ में जो दुखद हादसा हुआ है, मैं प्रभावित परिवारों के प्रति संवेदना व्यक्त करता हूं और घायलों के जल्द स्वस्थ होने की कामना करता हूं। मैं यूपी सरकार के साथ निरंतर संपर्क में हूं।
All right, let's go to our reporters. Sapna Shukla is joining us live from Prayagraj. Amit Kumar Singh is also joining us live from Prayagraj. Sapna, let me start with you first. You were there in the early hours of this morning when this stampede happened, and immediately after that, you've been reporting about this story, about this incident. What exactly led to this stampede?
The main reason, Zakka, was that the time for the holy bath was around the Brahm Muhurat, was 1:15 a.m. That's why the people were moving towards Sangam Nose, and they think that taking bath in Sangam Nose only on Mauni Amavasya give them more significance on this day. That's why they rushed toward the Sangam Nose, and the people were sleeping there and they don't know about it. Suddenly the mob came and they just jumped above the barricade, and after that these whole stampede happened. The people sleeping there, they doesn't get the time to wake up and to listen about anything, or to get understand the situation, and suddenly all the stampede happened. But the administration was there by 10 minutes only. Everyone came there. 50 ambulance. I have seen the 50 ambulance. Green corridor was made for the ambulance so that more and more people can be taken to the central hospital, which was made in Mela Kshetra only. Yes, it's a very unfortunate thing that happened today, but the administration had done a good job. They have taken more and more people to the hospital. 30 is the death toll, and tomorrow CM Yogi Adityanath with all the big administration officer will come here and we'll see what is the situation right now. Let me show you where I am right now. I am in Prayagraj city. This is civil line, and you can see these people now. They are moving toward Prayagraj station, and this is the no vehicle zone, Zakka, or that's why the four-wheeler is not allowed, Zakka. And the thing is this, now the security is tightened there, and not a single vehicle is allowed there. And the very big thing, all the opposition parties are saying, and the critics are saying that there is a VVIP movement. No, there was no VVIP movement. Today the whole VVIP movement was stopped. Even the passes which are allotted, on those passes also, it is written that these passes will not going to work on Snan Day and on Saturday and Sunday. Yes, this all happened, but within 15 to 20 minutes, all the injured, the people were taken to the hospital. In this way, all this happened because it's a morning obviously, and we should thankful to our sadhus also, Zakka. They all together decided that they will not going to take the bath at 5 a.m. They will going to take the bath after the devotees will take the bath. Then they will take the bath. This all happened at the way where the Akhada Marg is. This all thing happened, and I have seen myself. People were finding out their bags, and after the stampede happened, the administration was helping them to find out their bags. Yes, it's a very unfortunate thing what happened, but administration is working at every level, and now the security, the things are very tightened there. Zakka.
All right, Amit Kumar Singh is also joining us. Amit, अभी थोड़ी देर पहले वहाँ पे एक प्रेस वार्तालाप भी हुई है मेला अधिकारियों के द्वारा. उन्होंने कहा है कि ऑफिशियल फिगर जो है, ऑफिशियल जो मृत्यु का संख्या है वो 30 है. क्या ये बढ़ने की संभावना भी है?
देखिए, जो हादसा हुआ है, अगर हम वैभव कृष्ण की माने, जो प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंस की है विजय किरण आनंद, जो कि मेला अधिकारी हैं, सबसे बड़े अधिकारी हैं मेला महाकुंभ नगर के, और वैभव कृष्ण जो कि डीआईजी मेला महाकुंभ नगर है, उनके माने तो 1 से 2 बजे के बीच में यह हादसा हुआ है. और यह हादसा हुआ है जब लोग, जो श्रद्धालु थे, वो इंतज़ार कर रहे थे ब्रह्म मुहूर्त का. तभी पीछे से प्रेशर आया, और प्रेशर इतना ज़्यादा था कि बैरिकेटिंग टूटी और वहाँ पर भगदड़ मच गया. वहीं पर आसपास में काफी ज्यादा एम्बुलेंस थे, चूंकि मुख्यमंत्री योगी आदित्यनाथ का यह निर्देश था कि हर चप्पे चप्पे पर वहां पर एम्बुलेंस तैनात होगी. और उसके बाद वहां से सीधे तौर पे जो घायल थे उन्हें लेकर नजदीकी अस्पताल लेकर जाया गया, जहां पर उनका इलाज हुआ. 30 डेड कंफर्म हो चुके हैं. डीआईजी वैभव कृष्णा ने ये कहा है कि 30 की मौत हुई है. 25 को आइडेंटिफाई कर लिया गया है. इसमें से 3 कर्नाटक, 1 आसाम और 1 गुजरात के हैं. और ये उन्होंने कहा है कि बाहर राज्यों से हैं, और इसमें से अभी 5 को बॉडीज को आइडेंटिफाई नहीं किया गया. इसके अलावा अगर हम बात करें तो 36 घायल हैं, इंजर्ड हैं, और इनमें से कुछ को उपचार के बाद रिलीफ उन्हें घर भेज दिया गया है. और अभी भी मैं आपको एक तस्वीर यहाँ पर दिखा देता हूँ. चूंकि ये रात का वक्त है, रात को 8 से ज़्यादा बज चुके हैं, और यहाँ पर देखिए मौनी अमावस्या को स्नान करने के लिए अभी भी श्रद्धालु जो हैं वो लगातार पहुँच रहे हैं. आज एक्सपेक्टेड था कि 8 से 10 करोड़ श्रद्धालु यहाँ पर पहुँचेंगे, और अभी तक महाकुंभ की शुरुआत से अगर हम बात करें तो 14 जनवरी से आज तक 25 करोड़ से ज़्यादा श्रद्धालु ऑलरेडी जो है वो होली डे ले चुके हैं, पावन स्नान वो कर चुके हैं. और आज भी जो स्नान जो उन्होंने किया है, तकरीबन 7 करोड़ की तादाद में श्रद्धालु स्नान कर चुके हैं. लेकिन अभी भी 3 से 4 करोड़ श्रद्धालु जो हैं वो अंदर मेला क्षेत्र में मौजूद हैं. जी.
All right, Amit Kumar Singh and Sapna Shukla live for us from Prayagraj. Thank you very much for joining us. Let's now shift focus to the other big story, the political story of the day. AAP's water terrorism charge in the national capital is escalating with each passing day. Yesterday, based on the BJP and the Congress's complaint, the Election Commission had set a deadline of 8 p.m. for Mr. Arvind Kejriwal to provide proof to substantiate his claims that Haryana was deliberately poisoning the water coming into Delhi. The deadline has now passed, and that is bound to make the political clash a little bit more shriller. On the campaign trail today, Prime Minister Modi slammed the AAP's charge of toxic water being released through the Yamuna and pointed to Arvind Kejriwal's failed promise to clean the Yamuna. Rahul Gandhi too launched into Arvind Kejriwal and his key ally just a few minutes ago. He dared Arvind Kejriwal to drink the water of the Yamuna and pointed to his luxurious mansion, which has now been dubbed the Sheesh Mahal, while his constituents drank contaminated water. So the Aam Aadmi Party and Mr. Kejriwal are getting it both from their political opponents, the BJP, and also from their political allies in the India alliance.
दिल्ली के एक पूर्व मुख्यमंत्री ने हरियाणा के लोगों पर घिनौने आरोप लगा दिए हैं। पिछले 11 साल से ये प्रधानमंत्री भी वही पानी पीता है। हरियाणा का भेजा यही पानी दिल्ली में रहने वाला हर कोई पीता है। चुनाव हारने का ऐसा डर कि कुछ भी बोलो। मुझे पक्का विश्वास है ऐसी ओछी बातें करने वालों को दिल्ली इस बार जरूर सबक सिखाएगी।
5 साल पहले उन्होंने कहा था कि यमुना में, केजरीवाल जी ने कहा था यमुना में मैं स्नान करूंगा और यमुना जी का पानी पीऊंगा। 5 साल हो गए, आज तक केजरीवाल जी ने यमुना।
It wrote to him saying that the matter is being examined by the Commission in light of the provisions of the Model Code of Conduct and relevant provisions of law. It's asked Mr. Kejriwal to provide a factual and legal matrix along with evidentiary support. He had a deadline of 8 p.m. tonight. The poll panel has said that the electors tend to believe whatever is being said in public by their leaders, and in that sense, the statements, if not true, affect the campaign discourse, thereby vitiating the purity of elections and eroding the trust of voters. It also added that Kejriwal's allegation that there was an attempt to poison Delhi's drinking water and equating it with nuclear and biological warfare was extremely serious and unprecedented. In its letter, the Election Commission has also said that if it expected a leader of Kejriwal's vast administrative experience to have the evidence to substantiate the allegations, especially since the veracity of those statements are being contested. But Arvind Kejriwal did not back down. In fact, he doubled down on his attack today. Let's listen into what Mr. Kejriwal said.
ये बीजेपी वालों ने गंदी राजनीति की हद कर दी। हमारे यहाँ दिल्ली में पीने का पानी हरियाणा से, यमुना से आता है। उसमें हरियाणा वालों ने, हरियाणा की सरकार ने अमोनिया नाम का जहर डाल के भेज दिया। अगर वो पानी पीने के लिए घर घर में गलती से चला जाता, पता नहीं कितने लोग बीमार पड़ जाते, कितने लोग मर जाते। ये तो हमें पता चल गया, हमने सारा पानी डाइवर्ट कर दिया, हमने आपके घर तक नहीं आने दिया। मैं जब तक वो चिंता मत करना, आप लोगों को गंदा पानी नहीं पीने दूंगा, गंदा पानी नहीं भेजूंगा किसी हालत में आप लोगों के घर, जहरीला पानी आपके घर नहीं भेजूंगा।
All right, let's open this up to our political panelists. Shazia Elmi, National Spokesperson of the BJP, is joining us. Priyanka Kakkar is Chief National Spokesperson of the Aam Aadmi Party. Priyanka Kakkar, let me start with you. The Election Commission had given Mr. Kejriwal the deadline of 8 p.m. today. As far as I know, he has not responded to the Election Commission. On what basis did he make this claim that Haryana government was deliberately poisoning the water of Delhi?
Zakka, good evening to you and all your viewers. Let me first begin by the nautanki played out by the Haryana CM today. You may have seen that video where he's seen at the Yamuna, at Haryana side of Yamuna, and he enters the Yamuna river and pretends to take a sip and then spits it out in the water. You know, if you see that video in slow motion, you can clearly see him sipping it out of the water, and he is pretending that the water is clean. This is absolutely despicable. Now, where do we get this fact that it is poisonous? One is this video himself where he could not even take a sip and asking Delhiites to drink from Yamuna, this contaminated water. Second is that DJB letter, the DJB CEO's letter, which the BJP went around flaunting that our own IAS officer has written that there is no factual accuracy to what Arvind Kejriwal ji has said. Maybe her letter begin with that statement, but the fourth para of that letter very clearly states that presently the ammonia levels in Yamuna is 6.5 ppm to 7.2 ppm, which is unfit for consumption, dangerous to the human body and cannot be treated. Now also there is drain number 2 and drain number 6, which exclusively receive water from Haryana. Now we all know that Delhi does not have its own water for centuries, and the water comes from either Uttar Pradesh or the Haryana side. Now this water was released from drain number 2, drain number 6 goes into the Wazirabad pond, and this comes from Haryana, and this has recorded toxicity levels of ammonia up to 7.2 ppm. Now instead of addressing this issue, what is the Nautanki Bhajpa doing? You know, they are pretending that the water is clean, sending their Mukhyamantri there.
Okay.
This is absolutely despicable, low-level politics.
Let
they know that they
Shazia
are going
Ilmi
to lose
respond to
badly
that.
for the 27th time
Anything
in
above
Delhi.
6 ammonia levels is considered dangerous to the human body. Why is the Haryana government and the Haryana Chief Minister...
Let me tell you, anything above 2.5.
Let Shazia respond to that.
I'm very surprised.
Let Shazia respond as to why the Haryana Chief Minister, instead of dealing with the over 6 ammonia concentration of the water that's been coming into Delhi, instead of that he's gone and done, as Priyanka Kakkar says, quote unquote, drama at the Yamuna in Haryana.
No, I'll show you the video.
Yeah, let Shazia respond.
No, look who's... God. Look who's calling who Nautanki Baz. I mean, it's shameful. And you know, Arvind Kejriwal is a man unhinged, highly disturbed, to make such an accusation that Haryana government would deliberately poison the people, its own people and the rest of it. Arvind Kejriwal knew that he has totally wasted more than 800 crores of money allocated to his government and his party and his dispensation in Delhi for the last 10 years. But this man really is, I mean, I never thought I'll get to say something in the context of discussing a politician. I mean, he's not just a nasty piece of work, he's outright evil. Imagine just before the elections, when your back is to the wall, when you cannot answer questions on Yamuna, when people of Delhi are distraught with the state of affairs, when they can see literally poisonous foam floating on Yamuna. And, you know, at that point of time, and everybody knows how the tanker mafia works in Delhi and what kind of water we are getting in Delhi, look at what he does. And I mean, literally to muddy the waters, but this is poisonous. And this is incendiary. He wants to create riots. What does this man want to do? I really think he's a huge danger. Not forget about politics or forget about Delhi to India. I think he's a man who's gone completely off his rocker. And he's just talking such, I mean, this is, you know, you cannot, I mean, and when you ask the question as to what evidence they have, they're quiet. Priyanka Kakkar says everything else about the Haryana CM, water, but she's not been able to come up with, and we're still waiting for the reply that has to be given to Election Commission, because what has been said is extremely serious. It's unprecedented. Nobody has ever come up with something as crazy. You're accusing a government of water terrorism, of poisoning the water.
One at a time.
I mean, this is so insane. It is quite scary to think the limits to what they've gone to. This is just elections, you know. I mean, there is a desperation in this man that he'll resort to this level.
Okay.
And he wakes up now because he realizes in the surveys that he's losing badly. So he decides to attack Haryana. By attacking Haryana, obviously, he would attack the BJP.
So
and
let me ask,
is deliberately poisoning the waters.
Priyanka Kakkar, you know, from as far back as 2021, Mr. Kejriwal has been saying that Haryana and Uttar Pradesh have been polluting the Yamuna. Haryana and UP released untreated wastewater. The capital has been deprived of drinking water. As far back as 2022, when the Goa elections were happening, Mr. Kejriwal on record said, "Give me time till 2025, I will clean up the Yamuna." What happened to that?
Zakka, I think we have one of the most honest leaders in Arvind Kejriwal ji, who's owned up that he has not been able to keep 3 of his dream projects. He has not been able to meet deadlines of 3 of his projects that he promised in 2020.
I mean, how do you guys live with yourselves,
and he has fought 5 more years.
Priyanka?
And he's
I'm
also
really thinking that.
quiet.
Ma'am, one at a time, please. One at a time. Thank you.
And he's also told you why.
Yeah.
And he also told his public why he wasn't able to fulfill them, because when in February 2020 our government came into power, by March 2020 we were all in a nationwide lockdown because of COVID for about 2.5 years. Subsequently then Arvind Kejriwal ji and his entire cabinet was arrested in a false liquor case which is now behind us. And so we have sought 5 more years, but not that there's no work done. We have increased the capacity of the existing STPs. New are under construction. There has also been, for instance, there was not a single sewer line or pipeline, water pipeline in the
No, but ma'am, Mr. Kejriwal has been Chief Minister of Delhi since 2013, and that's what the Prime Minister said today as well. For 11 years, Mr. Kejriwal has been Chief Minister of Delhi, and he promised many, many years ago that he will clean the Yamuna. Now, instead of cleaning the Yamuna on the election eve,
before 2020.
No, on the election eve, to make this absolutely, unsubstantiated claim that Haryana government is deliberately poisoning the water of Delhi. Either you produce evidence, as the Election Commission has asked you to, or you say that, look, you have failed to clean up the Yamuna.
Zakka, I will repeat what I said at the start of my debate, that there is this DJB CEO ka letter which the BJP was flaunting all around.
What evidence you have?
Shazia, one second, I'm coming to you after this. Yeah.
What evidence
Usi
you
ka
have?
para 4.
Shazia, I'm coming to you after this.
Don't scream, madam. You will get your turn. Usi ka para 4, Zakka, is, I will read it out exactly. What bigger evidence do you want that the DJB CEO is saying that presently the ammonia is around 6.5 ppm in river Yamuna at Wazirabad Pond.
Please don't
Wazirabad
fool
Pond
people
is the
and don't
place
repeat
where
what you're
drain
saying,
number 2
because
and
this has
drain number
nothing to
6
do
from
with the
Haryana
One at
evidence
a
you're
time,
supposed
please.
to
One at a
give.
time.
No, Priyanka.
One at a time, please. You're both
No, no,
respectable
you are saying
spokespersons.
BJP
One at a
CEO is
time.
lying
Let
now?
let Priyanka finish. I'll come to you, Shazia, after that.
Zakka,
Let her
she's
finish,
repeating
please.
herself.
Please. Let her finish, then I'll
Zakka.
come to you. Yeah.
Zakka, the biggest evidence is where the DJB CEO is herself saying that these are the water levels. आपको नहीं माननी बात तो बीजेपी टेस्ट करा ले. Nobody is stopping them.
Okay.
आपको नहीं माननी बात तो आप खुद चल के देख लो.
Shazia, no, Shazia, one question,
Priyanka.
Shazia, one question that is being asked also.
I want to answer.
You
No, let
spent
me answer.
35,000 crore rupees on Namami Gange. Is the Ganga clean? People are showing outside of the
40,000
Sangam Tat in
crores.
Allahabad today. You go to anywhere on the path of Ganga
Yeah,
Maiya, it's all contaminated. Where did that
Zakka.
money go? The 35,000 crores.
So Zakka, I will answer. Yeah, Zakka. So once again, I would like to ask Priyanka, what is the evidence? Just because a DGP or CEO, somebody is saying something that the water levels are high, does that mean that Haryana government is poison waters? Yamuna in Delhi is so dirty, does that mean Kejriwal is poison waters? What rubbish are you talking?
No, it is
are you off
particularly
your
talking about Wazirabad
rocker?
Pond,
You can
ma'am.
just say any goddamn thing and you think it'll work, it'll fly. As for Yamuna,
is
I
off
was
your
there.
rocker?
I
What
was
is-
there
what
till
use
last
is that?
night. And it's fantastic what's happened. You
What
can't
is
even
off your
compare.
rocker, Zakka,
What
please?
rubbish is this? You are accusing a government
I don't
of being
understand your language.
a terrorist government
आप हिंदी
of
में बात
murdering
कर
people.
लीजिए.
What rubbish? No, this is crazy. You are talking complete rubbish. What language?
नहीं, गाली
You're
गलौज की
calling
जरूरत
somebody
नहीं
a
है.
mass
हिंदी में
murderer.
बात कर लीजिए, अगर
Are you
हिंदी में
worried
पीछे
about
कर
language
सकती है
here?
तो.
नहीं,
Okay.
मैं इंग्लिश में
No,
बोलूंगी.
No, but
हिंदी में नहीं बोलूंगी.
Shazia, very
मैं उर्दू में
quickly,
नहीं बोलूंगी.
coming back to
समझ में आया
the...
आपको?
No, Shazia,
No,
coming
I
back
mean,
to
I'm
the
shocked.
question I asked.
You asked her a simple question, Zakka.
What-
You asked her a simple
What
question.
happened?
And
What
you just
happened to the
asked her and
35,000
asked her
crores in
again.
Namami
You are
Gange?
asking
Simple
again
question.
and
Please
again.
answer. Please
I
answer.
have- No. You, because just
while you're
of course
asking,
ask her to
why
answer
was-
the
why the
question
Supreme Court
as to what
finally
evidence does she
today
have?
start 60
Isn't
crores
that
in
the
Yamuna,
topic? And as for
saying
Namami
that
Ganga, I'll
Hindu
tell you,
को narc बना
people
दिया.
are taking
The
dibs there.
Supreme Court
We all
also
took
fined
dibs there,
Uttar
and it's
Pradesh.
fantastic. The great work has been done. Do you want her to deflect and go to Ganga and not talk
आपको
about the
डूब
Yamuna
जाना चाहिए
pollution?
वहाँ पे.
If that's what you
आपको
want, I
शर्म
can
आनी
come get
चाहिए.
figures on Namami Gange.
Okay.
But because I thought the topic was on Yamuna and Kejriwal.
No, I asked those
completely
questions. What
disgusting
proof? Why
accusation.
haven't you produced it
I
to the
want
Election
answer,
Commission?
but
I've
she
asked
did
all
not
of those
answer.
questions.
Zakka, you did not answer. She did not answer.
I'll leave it.
She
I'll
did
leave it
not
at that.
answer any of
Thank
those
you very
questions.
much, Shazia Ilmi and Priyanka Kakkad, for joining us. Let's see which way the voters of Delhi are inclined in less than a week. In fact, in exactly a week, in fact, people of Delhi will have to decide whether Arvind Kejriwal and his government, even though he's former chief minister, deserves to get a third term, or should they vote in for an alternative. We will know that next Wednesday. Let's now shift focus to the other big story that we're tracking. There's now a new flashpoint between India and Canada. A Canadian panel chaired by Commissioner Marie-Josée Hogue has released its final report on what it calls foreign interference in Canada's federal election. Nearly a year and a half of strained ties between India and Canada, Canada has once again provoked India by accusing India of meddling in the Canadian democratic process. In fact, the Canadian Commission has submitted a 123-page report in which it is said that after China, India is the second most involved country in interfering with Canadian elections. The report also included details on how Pakistan attempted to covertly influence Canadian federal politics before the 2019 federal election to advance its interests. Ms. Hogue, in her report, has also claimed that there were legitimate concerns about Canadian parliamentarians potentially having problematic relationships with foreign officials, exercising poor judgment, behaving naively, and displaying questionable ethics. However, she stated that she did not find any evidence of parliamentarians conspiring with foreign states against Canada. The Commission's report also alleged that India is the second most active country engaged in electoral foreign malpractice or foreign interference in Canada. While clearing its own lawmakers of any wrongdoing, the Commission equated India and China and said that both countries were critical actors on the world stage. It said that Canada and India have worked together for decades, but there are challenges in the relationship. Many of these are long-standing and inform India's foreign interference activities. The report also accused India of spreading disinformation about the killing of Hardeep Singh Nijjar and using that as a form of interference. Let's listen in to some political reactions.
It is one of my most important observations. Our democratic institutions have remained robust in the face of attempted foreign interference. Although a few situations involving attempts to curry favor or develop problematic relationship with a parliamentarian have come to light, such phenomena remain marginal and so far appear to have been largely ineffective. Some may have benefited from the support of a foreign state, sometimes without knowing anything about it. But again, so far, this does not seem to have led to any real gains for the states involved. Nor have I seen any evidence to suggest that there are currently so-called traitors in Parliament. While I saw evidence of some concerning behavior, the evidence does not show any MPs plotting with foreign states against Canada's interests.
Now, India has straightaway rejected the Commission's report, which comes amid a strain in ties between Ottawa and New Delhi. In a strong rebuttal, the Ministry of External Affairs has attempted to turn the tables on Canada. The statement reads, and I quote, "We have seen a report about the alleged activities on purported interference. It is in fact Canada which has been consistently interfering in India's internal affairs. This has also created an environment for illegal migration and organized criminal activities. We reject the report's insinuations on India and expect that the support system enabling illegal immigration will not be further countenanced." India had provided Canadian authorities with security information on members of several criminal gangs, including the Lawrence Bishnoi gang, and requested the arrest of these individuals. There are at least 26 extradition requests that are pending with the Canadian authorities. The main requests are for Babar Khalsa International member Lakhbir Singh Sandhu, alias Landa, who's originally from Taran in Punjab. There's a reward of 15 lakh rupees on his head. He's accused of orchestrating an attack on the Punjab Police Intelligence Headquarters in Mohali. Landa's aide, Arshdeep Singh Gill, or Arsh Dalla, is also based in Canada and is linked to the Khalistan Tiger Force. The Home Ministry had tagged him an individual terrorist in 2023. He's wanted for running drugs and weapons. Another accused wanted by the agency is Canada-based Satwinderjeet Singh, alias Goldie Brar, who's an accused in the killing of Pradeep Kumar, a Dera Sacha Saula follower in Faridkot in November 2022. He also has deep links with protests. Pannu has not been censured, let alone being extradited to India. Let me go across to my colleague Sanjay Suri, who's joining us live. Sanjay, so this report that's been put out by Ms. Hogue, it does say that while there is no evidence of any direct foreign interference, it does also say that on the Nijjar case, it continues to press with the allegation that was made by Mr. Trudeau more than a year and a half ago that there are credible allegations of links of Indian agents in the murder of Niger. We don't see any evidence which substantiates that claim. What are we to make of that?
In fact, Zakka, in that report on page 6, this is a 123-page report, and as early as page 6, the report acknowledges, although interestingly it does so within parentheses, that no evidence has emerged of India's involvement in the killing of Niger. This one line put within brackets on page 6 is perhaps one of the most telling aspects of the report so far as the Indian government is concerned. There has been a long-running dispute over this more than anything else between India and Canada. That report points to the fact that there are credible allegations, and it repeats the government's line and Trudeau's line that there have been credible allegations, and then it adds this line in parenthesis to say that no evidence has emerged of the involvement of the Indian government in that killing. This is some indication that the report really is acknowledging something that the Indian government has been saying for a while, and let's not forget that incident happened in June of 2023 and we are now in January of 2025. So the report's acknowledgement of that certainly would be interesting for the Indian government.
So Sanjay, what happens now? We know that the Liberal Party is in a race to find a new leader. He or she will be the Prime Minister of Canada for the next 5 or 6 months. There are elections due latest by October, and going by current polls, the Conservatives are on course for a landslide win. And Mr. Poilievre, the leader of the Conservative Party, is expected to be the next Prime Minister. Is this an opportunity for a genuine reset of ties between India and Canada, or has that ship sailed way past?
Well, that ship hasn't sailed. In politics, ships never sail past a point. And clearly, this is the time, as you say, for a reset. The elections may not happen as late as October of this year, by when they are due. It's very likely that they may happen fairly soon, and this is going to come very likely close upon the election of a new Liberal leader, and that's due about 6 weeks from now. So this is an occasion also when the Indian government has to make some effective communication within the Conservative Party, and let's not forget that Poilievre cancelled that Diwali dinner. So there are elements and officials within the Canadian system, within the Canadian government, that have been briefing leaders, briefing members of parliament on the situation as they see it. There are intelligence agencies involved in such briefing necessarily. Therefore, it's quite a significant moment between India and Canada when this juncture can become a potential turning point to try and convince Poilievre, certainly to put the case across to him and to his colleagues within the Conservative Party, that the Indian government has taken a certain position, that it has in fact taken action against an individual when it has had to, but that no evidence has emerged, as this report acknowledges.
All right, Sanjay Suri, we'll leave it at that. Thank you very much for joining us from Canada. Let's shift focus southwards to its immediate neighbor, the US, where new US President Donald Trump has confirmed that Prime Minister Modi is likely to visit the United States as early as February. This visit would come in the backdrop of Trump's policy of putting America first, even threatening tariffs on countries that would prove to be detrimental to that vision. He's in fact even named India along with China as countries that use tariffs in a protectionist form. President Trump has emphasized the importance of India increasing its procurement of American-made defense equipment. So what will be the core issues that will be discussed in this visit, which, like Trump said, could happen as soon as February? What's the agenda, and most importantly, what would be the messaging behind this visit? I decode what is on the plate for both leaders to try and answer and to simplify if this relationship needs to go forward. The India-US relationship has grown significantly over the past couple of decades, evolving into a strategic partnership. India and America now cooperate in a wide range of areas spanning defense, trade, technology, and counterterrorism. However, under the Trump administration, the relationship has been marked by a focus on economic reciprocity and defense trade. This was highlighted once again in President Donald Trump's phone call with Prime Minister Narendra Modi earlier this week. Here's a detailed breakdown of the 3 key issues that Trump raised in his phone call with Modi. Number 1, India needs to buy more American defense equipment. Trump has been lamenting about the current state of defense trade between India and America, pushing for India to buy more made in America defense equipment. India has emerged in the last 20 years or so as a major buyer of US defense equipment from America, with over $20 billion worth of defense deals that have been signed between both countries since 2008. In recent years, India has diversified its defense imports, it has reduced its dependence on Russia, and increased purchases from the United States, France, and Israel. Now, defense deals that India has signed in the last decade with the United States includes the C-17 Globemaster strategic transport aircraft, which is worth over $4 billion, the P-8I Poseidon maritime surveillance aircraft for the Indian Navy, worth over $3 billion, the AH-64E Apache attack helicopters, worth over $2 billion, the CH-47F Chinook heavy lift helicopters, the M777 ultralight howitzers, the guns, the 6.716 rifles for the Indian Army, which is over $70 million. But there are pending deals, including deals that were announced when Prime Minister Modi went on the state visit to the United States in June of 2023, some of which still need to be ironed out. The MH-60R Seahawk naval helicopters for the Indian Navy at over $2.5 billion, the NASMAS-2 air defense systems, which is over $1 billion, the Predator B drones, again for the Indian Navy and the Indian Air Force, estimated at over $3 billion. Now, historically, Russia has been India's largest defense supplier. At one point of time, it used to account for more than 60, if not close to 70% of India's annual defense imports. However, over the last few years, this dependence has decreased. Russia's share has dropped to under 50%, while the United States now accounts for anywhere between 15 to 20% of India's defense imports. India still relies on Russia for critical platforms like the S-400 air defense systems, which is a massive deal, close to $5.5 billion. It was signed in 2018. The deliveries of some of the S-400s were temporarily paused by India after Trump made it into a huge issue in his first term. And then subsequently, after Trump left office, India went on to buy one part of the S-400 deal. The other 2 are yet to be delivered to India. They will be in the next couple of years. But it's not just the air defense systems. The 5th generation Sukhoi 30 MKI fighters, which were again imported from Russia, the main battlefield tanks of the Indian Army, the T-90 tanks, again a Russian import, even the first aircraft carrier that India has built, the INS Vikrant, has all been based on Russian technology and using Russian spare parts. Trump, on the other hand, is urging India to reduce its reliance on Russian imported military equipment and instead buy more from the United States. He's even cited concerns over the CAATSA sanctions. CAATSA is a treaty, it's called the Countering America's Adversaries Through Sanctions Act. He has waved that stick at India. The US has offered advanced defense technologies, whether it's fighter jets, the F-35s, the drones, including the Predators, and of course missile defense systems to try and deepen its defense ties with India. Another point of peeve with Trump has been what he calls the uneven and unfair trade relationship. So what is the state of the current bilateral trade between Delhi and Washington? India-US bilateral trade stood at $190 billion in 2023-24, making America India's largest trading partner. India enjoys a trade surplus with the United States of close to $50 billion, which has been a point of contention for the Trump administration. So what are the sectors that are driving India's trade surplus with America? Pharmaceuticals. India is a major supplier of generic drugs to the United States. Textiles and apparel. India exports garments and textiles which are significant in merchandise numbers. Gems and jewelry. India again is a leading exporter of diamonds and jewelry to the United States. And the biggest one is Indian IT services. Indian IT companies provide software services to US firms, and that has also been a significant contributor to the trade with the United States. So what has been Donald Trump's demands for trade parity between India and America? Trump has criticized India's high tariffs when it comes to US products, particularly in sectors like agricultural goods. Trump wants India to ease the tariffs on American almonds, on apples, even on dairy products. Motorcycles, example the Harley Davidson. In fact, in his first term as president, he had publicly rebuked India for what he called very high tariffs on Harley Davidson motorcycles. Medical devices, whether it is stents or knee implants. The United States wants to reduce tariffs and also remove non-tariff barriers to try and create a more level playing field for American exports into India. India and the United States have also been negotiating a limited free trade deal to address some of these key issues, and some of those areas that are under discussion include reducing Indian tariffs on US agricultural as well as industrial goods, resuming Indian exports of shrimp as well as steel to the US, and expanding market access for US dairy and poultry products. Another point of contention has been on illegal immigrants from India who are in the United States. According to the Pew Research Center, there are approximately 500,000 undocumented Indian immigrants in the US. It makes them one of the largest groups of illegal immigrants. Indians constitute the third largest group of illegal immigrants into the United States after Mexico and El Salvador. Many of these immigrants entered the US legally on work visas or student visas, but then they overstayed their visas. Trump has raised concerns about illegal immigration. He wants countries like India to take back their citizens who are in the US illegally. Under US law, the government can only deport undocumented immigrants, but that repatriation requires cooperation from the immigrants' home countries. India has said it is happy to welcome any illegal immigrant as long as he or she can prove their Indian citizenship. But it's not going to be easy for India. It's going to face legal and logistical challenges in repatriating hundreds of thousands of illegal immigrants back into the country. India requires proper documentation to verify the nationality of these deportees, which can be time-consuming. Many undocumented immigrants lack valid passports or other identification documents, something that Foreign Minister Jaishankar had alluded to while he was in the US last week to attend Trump's inauguration. India's infrastructure and resources to reintegrate these returnees are limited, particularly if large numbers are to be deported. Accepting deportees could also be politically sensitive in India, as many of them left the country seeking better opportunities abroad. India and the United States have been working to streamline the repatriation process. In 2020, India agreed to accept some deportees on chartered flights by the US government. Last year in 2023, over 1,100 illegal, undocumented immigrants from India had been repatriated back to the country. However, the process remains slow, and Trump has expressed his deep frustration over the pace of cooperation. Whether or not that will change when Prime Minister Modi, according to Trump, is likely to visit the White House as early as this February, that is still a point of contention in the ever-evolving relationship between Washington and New Delhi.
Co-powered by
यहाँ बेकार है यार, रुकना भाई भाई, यहाँ से चलने में फायदा है यार।
In a surprising move, US President Donald Trump has suggested that Jordan and Egypt take in more Palestinians who are fleeing from Gaza. This idea has sparked fresh debate about the future of nearly 2 million Palestinians who are living in the war-torn enclave. Trump revealed the proposal during a phone call with Jordan's King Abdullah II over the weekend. Speaking to reporters on Air Force One, Trump said, "I told him, I'd love for you to take on more because I'm looking at the whole Gaza Strip right now and it's in a total mess." He added that he would also ask Egypt's President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi to consider taking in more Palestinians. It is unclear yet whether this signals a shift in America's policy towards Palestinians. But they have already drawn strong reactions from regional leaders as well as advocacy groups. Both Egypt and Jordan look loath to admitting fleeing Gazan refugees under their own domestic political compulsions. So on Crux Decode, why has Trump thrown this wrong one to Arab countries? Will this proposal take off at all in the first place? What is the bloody history of Palestinians who were absorbed into neighboring Arab countries? And will this threaten the long-standing peace treaties that are foundational in the Middle East, the peace agreements between Israel and Egypt and Jordan, which have lasted now for close to 50 years? Trump's wild suggestion comes even as a fragile ceasefire between Hamas and Israel enters its second week. This is only the second pause in fighting since the 7th of October 2023, when Hamas launched a deadly attack on Israel. That attack killed over 1,200 Israelis and more than 200 were taken as abductees. In response, Israel launched a military campaign in which at least 45,000 Palestinians have died. The fighting has also destroyed thousands of homes and buildings. It has left much of Gaza in complete ruin. Most of Gaza's 2 million residents have been forced to flee their homes at least once. Despite the recent increase in humanitarian aid, the situation is dire. Water, food, and medicine are all in short supply. Few hospitals are functioning in Gaza. But Trump's comments appear to align with the wishes of Israel's far-right politicians, some of whom have for very long advocated for encouraging Palestinians to leave Gaza. This idea strikes at the heart of Palestinian fears that they would be driven away from their homeland, or whatever is remaining of it. Trump suggested that Palestinians could move to Jordan or Egypt, whether temporarily or in the long term. However, it is unclear whether he meant all 2 million people in Gaza or just a portion can shift to either of these two countries. The proposal was swiftly rejected by Hamas, which is the terrorist group which governs Gaza. Basim Naim, who's a member of Hamas's political bureau, has said that the Palestinian people in the Gaza Strip have endured death and destruction over 15 months in one of humanity's greatest crimes of the 21st century, simply to stay on their land and their homeland, and they will continue to do so. On the other hand, two hardline Israeli politicians welcome President Trump's suggestion. Bezalel Smotrich, who is Israel's far-right finance minister, posted a statement on social media which seemed to welcome Trump's comments. Smotrich has long supported helping Gazans who wish to leave and has advocated for Israeli military to control Gaza and eventually pave the way for a Jewish settlement there. Itamar Ben-Gvir, who is another far-right politician, praised Trump, saying congratulations to US President Trump on the initiative to transfer residents from Gaza to Jordan and Egypt. Now, if this were to happen, this would lay to rest any remaining hopes of a two-state solution. There will only be one state, the State of Israel. The idea of resettling Palestinians outside Gaza is not a new one, but it remains deeply controversial. Millions of Palestinian refugees already live in camps in Jordan, Syria, Lebanon, as well as other Arab countries. Many others have settled in countries like the UAE or even Egypt. However, Palestinians and their Arab allies have consistently rejected any further resettlement outside the Palestinian territories. They argue that forcing Palestinians to leave would erase any hope of a future Palestinian state. Egypt and Jordan have historically taken in Palestinian refugees, particularly after the Arab-Israeli wars, both in 1948 and in 1967. During the 1948 war, known to Palestinians as the Nakba, or the catastrophe, hundreds of thousands of Palestinians were displaced. Many fled to neighboring countries, including Egypt and Jordan. Jordan, in particular, in that war, absorbed a large number of refugees, even granting them citizenship. Egypt also hosted refugees, though it did not give them the same legal status as Palestinian refugees. Despite this history, both countries, Egypt and Jordan, have made it clear that they oppose any new wave of Palestinian resettlement. Egypt has repeatedly said it will not accept any more Palestinian refugees. In fact, Egypt fears that a mass influx could destabilize the country and it would jeopardize its peace treaty with Israel, which was signed in 1979. Jordan, which already hosts a large Palestinian population, has also rejected any forced resettlement. Early on in the current conflict, Egypt had warned Israel that any attempts to push Palestinians into its territory could threaten the decades-old peace treaty. This treaty has been a cornerstone of Middle East stability since its signing 50 years ago. Under former US President Joe Biden and other former American presidents in the recent past, American policy was always to support a two-state solution. Now, this envisions an independent Palestinian state along with an independent state of Israel. The US has also criticized Israeli settlements in Palestinian territories. It has assured Egypt that it would not be forced to take in more refugees. But Trump's return to the presidency has raised questions about future US policy in this region. Trump's administration has often taken a different approach, favoring closer ties with Israel and showing much less concern for Palestinian statehood. Egypt and Jordan are key US allies in the Middle East. Both receive significant American aid. In fact, Egypt is the second largest recipient of US foreign aid after Israel anywhere in the world. The Trump administration recently froze all foreign aid for a 90-day review. However, it made two exceptions, for Israel and for Egypt. It is unclear yet whether Trump would use military aid as leverage to pressure Egypt into accepting more refugees. But such a move would likely face strong resistance from Cairo. For Palestinians, the fear of being driven from Gaza is deeply rooted. Many see it as a repeat of the Nakba when hundreds of thousands were displaced during the 1948 war. Even today, many Palestinians dream of returning to their ancestral homes, even if those lands are now part of Israel. The debate over Trump's proposal highlights the complex and deeply emotional issues surrounding the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. While some see resettlement as a practical solution, others see it as a threat to Palestinian identity and Palestinian aspirations for statehood. As the ceasefire holds for now, the future of Gaza and its people remains uncertain. Trump's comments have reignited a contentious debate. But for now, the idea of mass resettlement seems unlikely, at least not without the consent of the Palestinians themselves and without the consent of their neighbors.
Green Lamp Laminates presents CNN News 18 Primetime Studio.
We're live from the CNN News 18 Primetime Studio, brought to you by Green Lamp Laminates. Viewers, should Arvind Kejriwal, who is the national convener of the Aam Aadmi Party, be barred from contesting the Delhi election and booked by the Election Commission for instigating a civil war by making a claim that is uncorroborated by fact? That's the fundamental question. The Prime Minister certainly says so, and he expressed himself with unambiguity today as he campaigned for the first time in the Union capital. The Prime Minister responded to Kejriwal, who has been accusing the BJP of waging biochemical terrorism by poisoning Delhi's water supply with ammonia allegedly released into the Yamuna by the BJP-ruled Haryana government. Viewers, the Prime Minister calls this accusation preposterous, saying that Arvind Kejriwal is instigating Indians to fight Indians and perpetuating the circumstances for a deep divide in our society. The Prime Minister came out and said that Kejriwal seems to have forgotten that the water that comes from Haryana into Delhi also flows through his residence, and that the Prime Minister himself says that he drinks that water. Why would he therefore poison himself, along with, of course, the citizens of Delhi that he serves? It's a moot point, viewers. Here's the Prime Minister responding to Kejriwal.
ये बीजेपी वालों ने गंदी राजनीति की हद कर दी। हमारे यहाँ दिल्ली में पीने का पानी हरियाणा से, यमुना से आता है। उसमें हरियाणा वालों ने, हरियाणा की सरकार ने अमोनिया नाम का जहर डाल के भेज दिया। अगर वो पानी पीने के लिए घर घर में गलती से चला जाता, पता नहीं कितने लोग बीमार पड़ जाते, कितने लोग मर जाते। ये तो हमें पता चल गया, हमने सारा पानी डाइवर्ट कर दिया, हमने आपके घर तक नहीं आने दिया।
पिछले 11 साल से ये प्रधानमंत्री भी वही पानी पीता है। चुनाव हारने का ऐसा डर कि कुछ भी बोलो। मुझे पक्का विश्वास है ऐसी ओछी बातें करने वालों को दिल्ली इस बार जरूर सबक सिखाएगी।
Now, the PM's counteract upon the AAP chief coincided with a show-cause notice issued by the Election Commission yesterday to Kejriwal to substantiate his claims with proof or face action by 8 p.m. tonight. The EC said the claims baseless and dangerous to public order and therefore need to be substantiated. And can Arvind Kejriwal furnish the proof to back his claims? The EC said Delhi Jal Board report does not mention poisoning. The Haryana government to submit a report on increased ammonia levels complaint. The allegations must have factual foundation and the AAP must furnish response with evidence. But viewers, we have now learnt that just minutes ago, Arvind Kejriwal has responded to the Election Commission. In his 14-page response, in his 14-page affidavit, which looks and appears to have been scripted by a team or battery of lawyers, he has failed to elaborate on any proof linking the BJP to his charge of waging a biochemical terror attack on the citizens of Delhi. Viewers, you heard Arvind Kejriwal say a few moments ago कि हरियाणा वाले, हरियाणा स्टेट वाले have been mixing zehar or toxins called ammonia into the water, and that the AAP government was very vigilant and it saved the day and the people of Delhi by diverting that water. Viewers, the BJP had asked Arvind Kejriwal to substantiate the charge linking the BJP to poisoning the Yamuna river, especially the BJP Haryana government. In his response, in his 14-page response, Arvind Kejriwal has reiterated the facts of the problem. How in the past water comes in from Haryana. No one has denied the fact, viewers, that repeated instances have come to light showing ammonia in the Yamuna water. And a large number of times, viewers, water supply to Delhi has been cut forcefully. He has also elaborated on how ammonia affects the health. So that part has obviously been written by some doctor on ammonia's impact on the human body. And then he mounts a very elaborate legal defense. And I want to go straight across to Pallavi, who has accessed this affidavit. Pallavi, most parts of this affidavit are devoted to a lengthy rebuttal, legal rebuttal, to why Kejriwal does not fall foul of the charges that the EC wants to bring against him, but does not elaborate with proof on the original charge that he has made linking the BJP to bioterrorism.
Absolutely. In fact, to use harsher words, they talked about water terrorism. But in his detailed response, Rahul, he sticks to his stand. He still keeps on insisting, and he's quoting previous judgments to say that his allegations cannot be construed as rumor mongering. They are based on facts. They're detrimental to the health of the people of the national capital. And, you know, as a public servant and a public citizen, he claims that the point that he raised was not alarming. It was not meant to create panic. It was just to alert the people. And he also goes on further to say that the amount of ammonia in the water which is being supplied from the Haryana government to Delhi is so high in toxic level that even the water treatment plants cannot treat it. So basically, he's sticking to his stance. Now, we'll have to wait to see what is the response which is going to come in from the Election Commission, whether they are satisfied or not. And in case they are not satisfied, Rahul, they can go to extreme step on stopping him from campaigning for the rest of the remaining days, which ends on Monday.
Well, that obviously will be a development that we have to watch very, very closely. Thanks indeed, Pallavi, for putting that into context. Let's open this up, viewers, because some questions are begging now. And the first and foremost is, viewers, that this is a familiar pattern. Mr. Kejriwal makes an accusation, fails, in fact, to back it with proof, and then ends up having to tender an apology to the person whose reputation or reputations he has defiled. And at least on half a dozen occasions, whether it was Nitin Gadkari, Mr. Jaitley, or other members of the BJP and other opposition parties, Mr. Kejriwal has had to tender an apology, a groveling apology, to get off the hook. In this case, viewers, the EC has taken note, has issued him a show cause, asking him to substantiate the proof. In these 14 pages, there is not a shred of evidence linking the BJP, viewers, to this damaging accusation that has the potential of basically turning the people of Delhi against the people of Haryana. Now, I want to bring in Ms. Huda, who is an AAP sympathizer, Dr. Anand Ranganathan also. Let's open this up. Let's go straight across. RP Singh, national spokesperson of the BJP, is here. Also somebody who is very much an integral part of the campaign. Ravi Srivastava, also somebody who speaks up for the AAP, is part of this panel. But, Ms. Huda, I have to ask you, and this is a question, does the lack of a response annotated by the proof mean that Kejriwal was lying through his teeth, as the Prime Minister seems to be suggesting? It's a fundamental question. Where is the proof, ma'am?
Well, Yamuna water is actually, in fact, polluted by ammonia. The proof will be provided because this is a party that...
Where is the proof, Ms. Huda? Don't say will be provided. He was supposed to provide it by 8 o'clock this evening. He hasn't done so. Have you seen the 14-page report? No, have you seen it? Ms. Huda, have you seen the 14-page report? Have you seen